Hi guys! It's been a couple of months since we moved and I first set up my studio, so I thought today I would give you a little look around at how it is currently set up. Now, I'll be honest, it's been in a couple of different configurations since we first moved in here because I can't quite get it to work perfectly, but I guess perfectly probably doesn't really exist, so let me show you around as it is today. So this is what you see when you first walk in the door. Now obviously I have had to downsize my room considerably from the last one, so it was a bit of a squeeze fitting everything in here. But on the right I've got a whole bunch of storage stuff and then more stuff and my work desk where I do my day job. My room has a beautiful window that lets in a whole bunch of natural light, which can be a little bit of a curse at times. And then on the left here is my crafty and filming area. I keep my sewing machine set up on this little chest of drawers all the time so that I can stitch a project whenever I need to without having to pull my machine out and set it all up. And then inside the drawers, this top drawer just has lots of old kits that I haven't broken down and put into my stash yet. The next drawer is just full of photo equipment, so I've got my couple of little printers, battery chargers for all my cameras, some hard drives, my heat tool, so anything just sort of electronic, I guess. My third drawer, I don't even think I've unpacked this since we moved. It's literally just bags of old kit bags. I'm not sure what I'm doing with those yet, but I'm reluctant to throw them away. So for now, they're just sitting in this drawer. And the bottom drawer is mostly just a junk drawer filled with old computer bits, CDs. I keep my ink and printer cartridges in there. Usually there's photo paper in there, but I'm just about all out of that as well, plus any sort of documentation or cables for printers and that sort of thing. So next to my sewing machine I have just one bookshelf in here, and that holds a whole pile of albums and a few other crafty bits. On top of the shelf there I've got a couple of old planner boxes and my December daily stuff, which I've kept in the same kit box that my first December daily kit arrived in. I've got a few little, those 4x4 mini albums. Those are the ones that are actually complete. And a little bit of stamp storage. These are stamps that I don't tend to use as often, so they sit in this little basket up here. And my Polaroid camera, my very old Polaroid camera, it still has 2 photos in it, and I am desperately hoarding them for the right occasion. Below that I've got some camera lenses and just some other bits and pieces. And on this shelf is where I keep all my finished traveler's notebook inserts. In these covers, I've got covers from Zinidori and the Stamp Spot and some paper ones that I made myself from a tutorial from Banana Fish Studio. And also I've got my newest little traveler's notebook sized mini album there. Below that I have got the rest of my stamp storage, so I've got 2 baskets, and in each basket I keep my stamps in these Avery L pockets, and as you can see there's a few that still need to be put away into the actual pockets there. And below those I have 4 containers that have my sequins, wood veneer and other little embellishments stored in them. Next to that I have all of my Project Life albums. And then below that is where I keep all my paper storage. So that's all my 4x6, my 6x6, my 8x6 papers, and all of my older Project Life cards. These are my December daily albums, and I've got a couple of other little albums on the other side there. Below that, I keep my Cuddlebug. I wish I had somewhere I could keep it out. I think I would use it more often, but this is the closest I get to having a space for it. I've got some sets of drawers here that have acrylic paints and embossing powders, some spare scrap paper, and all my foils. And then on the other side are some of my older albums and any spare albums I've got. And I also have, I'll show you, this mint album is my newest attempt at stamp storage. So any stamps that are too small to go into my baskets, they just go into this album. I've just got some 9x12 page protectors. I've added some grid paper cards in behind just so I can see what each stamp is. And then I filled up this album. Now, to be fair, it is totally full, so I've got no room for any more in there. And I'm not sure that this is the best solution for me because I don't tend to use these ones because I can't see them. But I have tried to cull my stamp collection down several times and it never works because I love them all. In between my bookshelf and my cupboard, I just store any sort of filming or photography equipment. So I've got my soft boxes, backgrounds, and a very unused yoga mat. And then if you've seen my previous room tours, you'll be familiar with the Cupboard of Doom, which is just a plain white cupboard that I store all the rest of my stuff in. But actually, I'm thinking it's not looking too bad. So I have any sort of bulk sequins here stored in little plastic bags on a book ring just to have it easy access. This little pouch here is just some crafty stuff that I have packed up if I want to go to a friend's house or just move into the lounge and do a little bit of journaling or something like that. And then behind here I have some unused albums that are waiting for a project. This is my one little word stuff and I just have some greeting cards in this little box. This is just a bunch of my work stuff. I have a box for miscellaneous sort of stationery equipment, my portfolio, and a few other bits and pieces. Then on the next shelf, I have some distress inks, my alphas. So this is where I store all my thickers in this drawer here. And this drawer here also has some, and this drawer here also has some alphas in it. Next to there, I've got a couple of containers with my embroidery threads, some packets of coloured paper that I use for making my own notebook inserts. I've got a container filled with paper embellishments, some random hooks and nails for hanging art, and a few sets of coloured pencils, pastels, that sort of thing. And my very old jar of gesso is sitting there as well. Now this next shelf just has some randomy stuff. This is I think a fishing tackle box, and it's got all of my sewing machine equipment and threads and stuff in there. And then each of these drawers is just filled with randomy bits and pieces. They're not particularly organised in any way. This one's sort of paper tissues and art journaling supplies. I've got craft foam and threads and ribbons, elastic, that sort of thing. This set of drawers just holds a bunch of tools, more camera equipment and adhesives. This entire drawer is filled with to-do list pads, so you can tell I'm a big fan of a to-do list. And this drawer is just full of old projects, to be honest. I've got a couple of embroidery hoops and some canvases waiting for paint. Next to there I keep my big box of Project Life page protectors and some taller pads of paper. And then below there is a big box of junk that hasn't been unpacked from the move. And another set of drawers that holds envelopes, some stamps and stamp carving tools, some more random stickers, and some more canvases. Moving along from the Cupboard of Doom, I have this drawer unit here, which holds probably the majority of my crafting supplies. On top is my vintage typewriter. I get asked all the time what typewriter I use. As you can see, this one here, it has no brand. I don't know what it is. I got it from my grandmother and it works fine, so I'm not planning on upgrading at any point. Next to that, I keep a couple of paper trimmers. That's just so they're hard to store, those things, I think, and this way they're just easy access for me. My typewriter is sitting on an empty box. There's actually nothing in there. It's just to lift it up past these metal rails so that I can use it correctly. And then each of these drawers is full to the brim with craft stuff. So my top drawer has all my little coloured ink pads. And the next drawer has the rest of my full-size ink pads. This drawer holds any sort of colour media, so I've got watercolours, pens, and also some spare Project Life cards. My next drawer is full of letterpress equipment, which I don't use very often, and I've also got a couple of page protectors and stamp storage stuff in there as well. Also my super large stamp block because it doesn't fit anywhere else. This next drawer is just filled with paper, all sorts of paper that I print my digitals on and use through my silhouette, so any sort of paper like that. This next drawer here is my paper scraps drawer. I don't keep them in any particular order or anything like that. They're just thrown in there, all sorts, but usually this is the drawer for larger sized scraps. And this is my drawer full of 12 by 12 full page papers. Again, they're not ordered in any particular way. This is my plain cardstock, and again, I haven't organized it at all. This drawer I keep for any sort of newer stuff that I have purchased, stuff that I want to use. Just rather than splitting it up and putting it away in all my other drawers, I keep it in one place until I've used it a couple of times and then I can pop it away. And my last drawer is just full of other page protectors. Under this unit is where I keep my cutting mat because there's nowhere else to keep it flat so it doesn't bend. And then next to that drawer unit is the chair where my lovely office mate Lily usually sits, because she's a bit of a slacker, to be honest, so she doesn't do anything except sit there. Next to my computer I just have a little shelf full of pretty things that I love. So there's always a couple of candles and my salt lamp. We've just had fibre broadband installed and I can't tell you how that has changed my life. Under there I have my laser printer, which again I use for work, but I also use if I want to do any sort of foiling. And then below that, just a couple of baskets that I store a lot of photography props in. So on the other side of the room is my crafting and filming area. I grabbed a Rascog cart last year and it's just a really great storage solution. I can wheel it around as I need it, which has been super handy. So up the top here I keep paintbrushes and tools and all my scissors, and they're all in sort of little individual jars, but this is stuff that I grab all the time. So my tape runner, tiny attacher, and I've also got a bunch of tags and pre-cut card and stuff in there that I might need on a daily basis. I also keep my little kit of needles and punching tools for doing any stitching. Oh, and this is where I hang my chamois as well when I'm waiting for it to dry. On the second tier, I have got embossing folders and my storage container with my metal dies. I've got some baby wipes, which I don't use nearly as much now that I've got the chamois, and a couple of rolls of vinyl for my silhouette. And underneath on the bottom layer is where I keep all my punches, just in a little container here. Tennis ball for Lily, of course, and another container that's got scrap paper in it. Those are all my smaller scraps, so too small to fit in my other drawer, but also too big to throw away. And I stole this solution from Sue's Fish because I saw she put a hook on the side of her Rascog, and it was the perfect place to hang this super long ruler that I could not fit anywhere else. Now, I would be remiss not to mention my brand new chair, because I just bought this a couple of weeks ago, and so far I love it. When you spend as much time sitting at a computer as I do, a good chair is a must, and this one is light and comfortable, and it looks really nice. Now, it's going to be really hard to film this because the light has come around, and you'll see why I said it was a little bit of a curse to have such a great big window there. For most of the day, the sun is streaming in that window, which makes it incredibly hard to work at a computer. So, like I said, I'm still trying to work out a solution for that. I'm thinking I'm going to have to get some blinds in here. Otherwise, I may have to move this computer because it's very hard to work there when the sun's coming in the window. But this is where I do all my photo editing and printing and silhouette cutting, all of that sort of crafty business. I've got multiple jars filled with multiple coloured pens because I am obsessed. And then this part of my desk is filled with little bowls of bits and pieces because I do love having stuff out on my desk. I've got a little bowl filled with photos that still need to go into a notebook at some point. These boxes and tins are filled with planner stuff, which I do find I'm not using as often anymore since I got my Get to Work book. I have got a diamond press that I grabbed from Silhouette, which is handy to have on my desk when I'm not pulling out my Cuttlebug. And this is where I keep my Traveler's Notebook inserts that I'm currently working on before they're finished. So I've got a few different ones there, and you'll see a little sneaky peek of one of the brand new short pocket page notebooks from the Stamp Spot, which are currently available on pre-order, but I am lucky and special enough to have one already. And I gotta say, I love it. I have a great big fishbowl filled with washi tape, which looks really pretty, but isn't necessarily the best solution for getting to the ones you want, because I generally have to tip the whole thing out to get to the ones at the bottom. I've just got a gallery wall of little bits and pieces that I love. And then underneath that is my shelf full of planners. So I have two planners that I use on a daily basis. This is my work and life planner, which has the Get to Work book inserts in it that I just punched and put into a Kiki K planner. And then this is my Crafty planner for all my design team work and planning anything here on YouTube. Next to that, I have a few more Traveller Notebook covers. These are, again, just filled with completed notebooks so that I'm not actually working on those ones. I've got a few empty notebooks at the end, which I don't use a lot, and a Muji folder with graph paper that I use for just planning projects. So on the next shelf up here, I just keep some washi tape and multi-matte medium that I might need when I'm filming. There are some Project Life cards here that need to go into an album, but you'll be pleased to see there's only 1 week rather than my usual 10 or 12. I have a little container here filled with Nuvo drops, and if you've followed me on Instagram, you'll know my love-hate relationship with those things. And then I have another white basket here. I'll bring this down. that I keep all of my smaller alphas in, so anything that came from Studio Calico or Citrus Twist. Got some pink fresh ones in here too. They're generally card or puffy stickers, but just anything smaller than the usual thickers. And then on this next shelf up here too, I have another one of these baskets as well, which is filled with embellishments. So these are all my sequins and chipboard, all my enamel dots and puffy stickers. I keep them handy so that I can grab them out while I'm working at my desk rather than having them put away in that cupboard. So up there with the embellishment box, I also have a box of mists that I hardly ever use. And this is my really classy filming setup. It hasn't changed at all really, except that I broke my clamps, so I needed to get a new one. So this is just a block of wood with a Gorilla Pod on top, and my iPhone, which is what I film on, is directly over top of my desk. So it works really well, and it's not actually fixed to the shelf, which means that I can pop it on this shelf when I'm doing my Traveler's Notebook videos. Underneath my shelves, I have just a little cork board which I painted and gilded, and I just keep fun, pretty things on there, as well as a couple of rings of washi tape which I use for my planners. And that's about it. My only other thing here is I have filming lights on each end of my desk. I've tried multiple different filming light setups in this room. My old ones weren't quite right, and these ones aren't quite right either. I'm getting there though. Generally when I'm filming, they have soft boxes on them rather than just these bare bulbs, so you can see it means I have to take them up and down, which is getting to be a bit of a pain, so I'm not sure what my next solution will be. So you guys, that's it. That's my room. I hope you enjoyed the tour and that you didn't get too seasick as I was washing the camera around. If you've got any questions about anything you saw, just let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye.